This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Baruch haba and welcome everyone. I would like to share with you a ha'ara on the Parsha. At first glance, it may not seem so problematic, but upon further analysis, I think you'll agree that this is a serious issue worthy of our attention. The pasuk says in Parak Yud Beis pasuk, Hey, Vayikach Avram es Sarai Ishtay. Avram took Sarai his wife, ve'es Lot ben Achiv, and Lot the son of his brother, ve'es kol rechusham asher rachashu, and all of their possessions that they possessed. Targum says, V'yas kol kinyan hain dekanai, all of their possessions that they took ownership of. The question is, asher rachashu, that they possessed. What else do you do with possessions other than owning them? Why would it have to say rechusham asher rachashu, possessions that they possessed? That's what you do with possessions. You possess it. Those words are completely extra. In fact, in Parak Yud Gimel Pasuk Vav, the Pasuk says, "V'leinasa oisam ha'aretz l'shavas yachdav." The land did not allow them to be contained together. Ki haya rechusham rav. Their possessions were too many. It doesn't say ki haya rechusham asher rachashu rav. And then again in Parak Yudal Pasuk Yud Beis, "Vayikchu es Lot ve'es rechushai." They took Lot and his possessions. It doesn't say "Vayikchu es Lot ve'es rechushai asher rachashu." And I looked around, and I found in one sefer that it raises this question, the sefer Berchas Yitzchak, of Baruch Yitzchak Yisachar Lowenthal. And ayin sham what he answers, V'Hashem heir einai, Hashem illuminated my eyes. I think there's a very important insight that we need to bring out, and that is why the Torah emphasizes Asher Rachashu. Reb Schwab asks, and I found this question that Rizal as well in Likutei Torah. Parak Yudalei Pasuk Yud Beis. Vayikchu es Lot, they took Lot. Ve'es rechushai, and his possessions. Ben Achi Avram, the son of the brother of Avram. The possessions were the son of the brother Avram. Lot was the son of the brother Avram. So it should say Vayikchu es Lot, Ben Achi Avram. They took Lot, the son of the brother Avram. Ve'es rechushai, and his possessions. Why talk about the possessions before we identify who they took? Vayikchu es Lot, ve'es rechushai ben Achi Avram. It sounds like the possessions were Avram's nephew. It should say Vayikchu es Lot, his nephew, ve'es rechushai. By the way, that result says it's because the neshama of Rava was in Lot, and this is alluded to in the words rechushai ben Achi is Rashi Tevis Rava, and that's why the Torah wrote it this way to alert us to this Rashi Tevis. But Reb Schwab says as follows: what caused Lot to go off? Why was Lot so attracted to Sodom? Lot became very into the physical world. Lot became very into his possessions. There are two ways to interact with one's possessions. One could say, these are things that I own. This is not a critical part of my life. These are things HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me. I don't identify by them. These are possessions that I possess. And some people become so into their clothing, their house, their car, they become personified and identified by it. Lot became so connected to his assets. Vayikchu es Lot. You know who Lot is? Ve'es rechushai. Primarily it's his car, his clothing. And by the way, you know who he is? He's Ben Achi Avram. But more of an identifying mark was Ve'es rechushai. Conversely, one has to be so connected to Ruchnias, one can be so connected to Ruchnias, that he can become identified by his spiritual pursuits. David HaMelech says, not va'ani mispala, not I daven, va'ani tefillah, I become personified by davening. Not ani oiseh shalom, ani shalom v'chiyad daber himala milchama. Lot became Lot es rechushai. David HaMelech became va'ani tefillah. Let's go back to Parak Yud Beis Pasuk Hey. Vayikach Avram, and Avram took as Sarai Ishtay, Sarai his wife, ve'es Lot ben Achiv. Now Lot is identified as not ve'es Lot ve'es rechushai ben Achiv. Now Lot is a good guy. He's ben Achiv. And what about the possessions? Ve'es kol rechusham. No, the possessions are only asher rachashu, that they happen to own. but they were not identified, not Avraham, not Lot. At this point in time, Lot was on a higher madrega. This is Mavuar in Rashi. Rashi says that after Lot separated from Avraham, so then HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to him. The pasuk says, the pasuk says that after Lot separated from Avram in Perek Yud Gimel, pasuk Yud Daled, Vashem Omar el Avram acharei hi pared Lot me'imai. Says Rashi, Kozman shaharasha imai hayad dibar pairesh mimenu. When Lot was with him, Hashem separated from him. So in the parentheses in Rashi, they ask, but earlier Hashem appeared to Avram. Vayira Hashem el Avram, Perek Yud Beis, pasuk Zayin. Vayira Hashem el Avram. No, Rashi says then Lot was a good guy. So in two psukim before, when Lot is still a good guy, then his possessions are not identifying him. Then it's Rechusham Asher Rachashu. And Lot is Ben Achiv. But the pasuk is contrasting a different attitude. Later on in Perek Yud Daled, pasuk Yud Beis, there he was the Yikles Lot. That's Rechushai. The Rechushai described Lot. Now, the Rechusham to Lot were just Asher Rachashu, as they were to Avram. And therefore, at this point in time, when Lot was still a good guy, Hashem appeared to Avram. The difference between the possessions identifying Lot, however, earlier it says Asher Rachashu to indicate the possessions were merely theirs to possess, but not to reflect, not to determine, not to identify their essence. Wishing everyone a wonderful day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.